What's up, guys? Dare here, back with another mock draft Monday. Today is a 12-team PPR from the 7th spot. It looks like we have a full draft lobby here. Pick 7, very interesting pick. A lot of people probably don't want that pick because, the top 3 running backs and top 3 receivers, who are clearly the tier 1s, are going to be gone. Me personally, I like the 7th spot. It gives you a lot of flexibility. So, top 3 running backs, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott. Those guys are for sure going to be gone. But at pick 7, there is a small chance, maybe not Antonio Brown, but Julio Jones or Odell falls to you. I think in the 7th pick, if either of those guys do fall to you, you have to grab them. But don't be worried. Either way, you're going to have a solid pick for either Mike Evans, AJ Green, or LeSean McCoy. Each one of those has merits to picking. I like AJ Green a lot. Probably more than most people do. Maybe because I've owned him so many times throughout the year and he's just been an absolute stud. And this is PPR, so he was just getting so many targets last year. Tyler Eifert can't stay healthy, so Eifert's going to take away some of his touchdown upside. But Mike Evans now with Deshaun Jackson there is more of a possibility for regression. Well, there's the sound, so we're starting. First pick, David Johnson. No surprise there. PPR, solid pick. Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson going number 1 in PPR. Can't fault it. At number 3, Antonio Brown's ranked at number 3, but I've seen Ezekiel Elliott and Antonio Brown take that 3 spot most often. So let's see. I think it's pretty clear that if you're in the 2nd and David Johnson's gone, you got to go Le'Veon Bell. I know there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there, so you really can't be surprised if he does go at the number 2 pick, just because there's just so many Cowboys fans out there. So while we're waiting for my pick, got to shout out the website if you haven't checked it out, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. And also, join the Facebook group. We're letting all of our subscribers in for free until we fill up. Right now, we're about halfway there, so make sure you get in quick because it's filling up fast. Okay, so just as suspected, top 3 running backs off the board, followed by Antonio Brown. Bell did go ahead of Zeke. No surprise there. Julio went right behind Brown. I could see any merit for taking Odell above Julio or Julio above Odell. So this is just what I was talking about. So it looks like LeSean McCoy was taken at number 6. So who fell to me? Odell Beckham. I think Odell is clearly in a tier ahead of Mike Evans and AJ. So welcome to the team, Odell. Right now, I don't have my rankings, my tier-based rankings. I would always suggest when doing a draft, even mocks, it helps just to get familiar with your tiers. Have your tier-based rankings. I'm not going to be using mine because I only have one screen and you're seeing it. And the tier-based rankings I use are the ones that we have for our premium members. So I can't really just give that information for free. If you want it, become a member. You're going to have access to the Facebook group and all of the weekly starts and sits throughout the season. So waiver ads, trade targets, premium rankings. There's just a ton of content that we're going to be giving you guys for being members. But that's why I'm not using mine. But I should be good. It's a mock draft. No harm, no foul. Still should have a good one. So after Odell, Mike Evans, and then Jordy. AJ Green is falling. Mike Evans, Jordy, and Melvin Gordon round out the top 10. So we have AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, Devontae Freeman. I think this next person has to snag up AJ Green. That's just immense value. But Devontae Freeman does go next. And we would think besides, the next tier, LeSean McCoy, Devontae Freeman's probably the last running back in PPR we would take in the first round. So I think Melvin Gordon's a little bit of a reach. I can't fault you because he is pretty safe. But these receivers, AJ Green is still on the board. He's falling. Something must have happened to him. People must have think he got injured because he is now no longer in the first round. And there he goes. He went at 14. That's the furthest I've ever seen him fall, but that's just kind of how these things go. If I was there, man, having AJ Green at that late of a pick, that's money. So Aaron Rodgers off way too early at pick 15. My pick's coming up. 3 good running backs, Jordan Howard, DeMarco, and Jay Ajayi. I see Amari Cooper, Dez Bryant for the receivers. I may want to go running back. If DeMarco falls to me, right here, I am going to snag him up real quick. But if not, I think I have to go Dez. My pick's next. So between Dez and DeMarco, those are going to be my 2 picks. I'm an Eagles fan, so really taking Dez Bryant hurts. So you know which side I'm leaning towards. But sometimes you can't let fandom get in the way. You got to take best player available. And looks like the decision was made for me. Dez Bryant off the board. I am getting DeMarco Murray. I'm liking this so far. Got DeMarco Murray and Odell Beckham. It's my first 2 picks. Not bad. So one of the benefits of having pick 7 as opposed to, I mean, you want the top 3 because you want to get either Zeke, David Johnson, or Le'Veon Bell. But the problem, and I've never liked it, is when you pick in the top 3 or the back 3, you really just have back-to-back picks. And what I find happens is you end up having to reach for guys. And it's not because, you know, you want to reach or you really like the players. It's because you have to. I mean, if you're taking guys back-to-back, sometimes you're forced to take players that it's just not right for your team composition. So having a pick between 5 and 7 really gives you the flexibility to not have to reach. And you tend to, if you keep an eye out for guys like, you know, maybe 10 slots later, you can realistically grab them. So let's see. We have Jay Ajayi right after DeMarco. Amari Cooper, Gronk, Lamar Miller still on the board. Amari Cooper I definitely think is a solid pick right now in the second. Lamar Miller did end up getting taken at 20. Amari Cooper, Gronk still out there. Demaryius Thomas is right there. He is very safe. He has a safe floor in PPR. He gets a lot of targets. He is the number 1. Todd Gurley went after Lamar Miller. And I think we're seeing like a very strong trend this year, which is a ton of these running backs are going off the board early. Reason for that is just running backs had a ginormous year, and at the same time wide receivers had such a down year, so you're seeing that overcorrection. People are a little afraid to take Amari Cooper right now, I see too. So this guy's on the clock. So far we don't have any auto drafters. That's pretty good. Right now we're in the beginning of June. Alright, Amari Cooper taken after Todd Gurley. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks before mine. So now's a good time to keep an eye out. I have a running back and a wide receiver. I normally draft best player available no matter what. If I end up with 3 wide receivers, first 3 picks, that's fine with me. If I end up with 3 running backs, first 3 picks, that's also fine with me. I know that there's a bunch of late to mid-round guys that I like that I can balance my team out with. Looking here, though, I'm liking Marshawn Lynch. Not a bad pick. He's more of a standard guy, but they have one of the best run blocking offenses, offensive lines, that is, in the league. Marshawn Lynch, he's a stud. He has top 10 upside for sure, but he also has a very low floor. So DeAndre Hopkins taken right after Amari Cooper. I think that rounds out that last tier, except for Doug Baldwin. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. Now, Gronkowski's falling too. Leonard Fournette, gone. So right after it went Lamar Miller, well, it went Jay Ajayi, Lamar Miller, Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette. I think that is probably pretty standard. I'm really happy that I got DeMarco Murray when I did, because I really wouldn't be happy with any of those 4 as my RB1, Lamar Miller, Gurley, or Fournette. DeMarco Murray has his question marks, of course, but he catches balls. This is PPR. That's kind of how it goes. In some previous mock drafts that I've done, I haven't really seen Gronk fall past his ADP, but maybe that's based on auto draft. You know, if you have an auto draft, they're just going to get snagged, but he's falling. My pick's up in 4 picks. There's a few I like. I mean, if Doug Baldwin falls to me, I am snagging him real quick. Golden Tate's a good wide receiver too. There goes Gronk. Pick 27. But I really like Lynch right now. I think it is a little bit, there's a lot better late round flyers for wide receivers than there are running backs, but I can't pass up any of these receivers that are falling. Doug Baldwin's gone. Okay, so here's the thing. We got Jarvis Landry and Demaryius Thomas. Marshawn Lynch got taken. Okay, so that's good. That makes my decision easier. So this is tough between Demaryius Thomas and Jarvis Landry. that's my pick. I would throw Golden Tate in there as well. There's Allen Robinson, Julian Edelman, but I think clearly Demaryius Thomas and Jarvis Landry. Oof, that's tough. All right, Jarvis Landry, come on down. Welcome to the team. Yeah, had to go Jarvis Landry there. He's just a PPR monster. He doesn't have that touchdown upside, but Demaryius Thomas and Jarvis Landry, they're very similar. Demaryius Thomas has a little bit of a larger yards per catch, but Jarvis Landry is just super consistent over his first few years. So Odell Beckham, he can have some dud weeks. His target share may dip slightly, but his season-long numbers will be great because he's just going to have, 4 or 5 games where he just multiple touchdown, 100-something yards, 8 catches. That's just going to happen no matter what happens. So I think balancing that out with a player like Jarvis Landry is really solid. So like I said, so I think actually the only quarterback that was taken was Aaron Rodgers, clearly too early. But Tom Brady is creeping up. His ADP is right now 42. Keep in mind, like I said, this is early June, so these ADPs are going to change. Carlos Hyde, Christian McCaffrey, Drew Brees just got taken. Those are the 3 that just got taken right now. Drew Brees way too early. I think Tom Brady is clearly the safer play than Drew Brees, especially after losing Brandon Cooks. Their run game should be better, but you replace Brandon Cooks with Ted Ginn? No thanks. There's got to be some regression. I mean, you can't count out Drew Brees, but Tom Brady gaining Brandon Cooks. It's funny that we're talking about both those players because that one player really makes a difference. That 1,000 yards, the big touchdowns. It's going from one to another. Brady's definitely had a breeze in my book. So Golden Tate here, he's projected to go off the board at 33. We're now in the 39th pick. He's still on the board. That's a little surprising. Maybe because he had a slow start to last year. Maybe some owners had him during that time. They're a little scared off. But let's see. I'm going to check out some running backs here. I'd love to get a running back right now. But then again, I'm not going to reach. Mark Ingram, Bilal Powell. I like Bilal Powell. He's pretty safe in PPR. But let's see who the wide receivers are. Larry Fitz, definitely another safe floor guy. Yeah, Larry Fitz. Golden Tate, though, if he falls to me, sorry, boys. We got to grab Tate. I have to get a running back next time. All right, let's see who got taken. So Tom Brady did get taken right before mine. Isaiah Crowell, that wouldn't have been a bad pick at this spot, but he's gone. I think the value there at Golden Tate is just too immense. I can't pass that up. I mean, Allen Robinson's right there too. I should consider him too because these are 2 safe floor guys. You know what? I'm gonna balance this out. So normally I would take Golden Tate because he has a super safe floor, but Allen Robinson just, he has the upside that Golden Tate doesn't. So I'm actually taking Allen Robinson right now. Hate me in the comment section all you want, but I just want to, balance out upside with safe floor. And if I get, Golden Tate and Jarvis Landry, they both have pretty high ceilings, but come on, Allen Robinson. Sky's the limit with that guy. So now definitely should be looking at some RBs. I'm seeing a few that I like coming up for my next pick. That being Joe Mixon and Frank Gore. Frank Gore is not going to have, game-breaking weeks, but he surprisingly does catch balls. Good amount of them too. Joe Mixon, maybe a slow start. We'll find out more about him in training camp. But he's definitely going to be the starter there by mid to end of the season. He's clearly the most skilled back. I think between those 3, you have, Joe Mixon, Jeremy Hill, and Gio Bernard. Tell me a more talented backfield. Talented and well-rounded. It's pretty hard to find one like that. But, that's to each one's detriment. So let's see who's going off the board. Fitzgerald. Okay, so first Sanders, Fitzgerald, then Tate. In that order, went off the board. I don't like that. I think it literally should have gone in reverse. Golden Tate's super solid. Okay, running backs came off the board. Mark Ingram and then Bilal Powell. I've been seeing Mark Ingram going a lot higher than this, so he fell, as he should. I think he is definitely overpriced for all the question marks that arise from him. He had a career year last year, but still no excuse. With AP coming in, you can't trust it, especially you're drafting him as, more than likely an RB2. I'd like someone who has a stronger chance at, being a workhorse, which I think Joe Mixon and Frank Gore both provide. Okay, Spencer Ware gone. So we're having a run on running backs. There's 3 picks before mine. There's also Danny Woodhead and Ty Montgomery and CJ Anderson ranked above the 3 guys, or the 2 guys that I want. There's actually 4 ranked above the guys that I want. So I think I have a pretty safe chance at snagging them. Again, the benefit of getting pick 7. So, I think I got to go with... Oh, there we go. Joe Mixon's gone, so that makes it easy. I'm going Frank Gore, clearly, at this point. Because I was going to say I was going Joe Mixon, but they made that decision easy on me. See, those are the ones that when the season starts, I end up kicking myself because, I'll have the choice between, 2 players, and then I'll end up sticking with one. And if, in the first 3 weeks, he doesn't perform and the other one does, I'm just, kicking myself. Why didn't I take him? I knew I should have. But I try not to overthink it. I literally would have taken Joe Mixon first, but Frank Gore falling to me, not a bad floor. Got a couple upside picks with Odell Beckham and Allen Robinson. And a couple safe picks with Frank Gore and Jarvis Landry. So I think that's pretty good balance right now. Good old Frank Gore made it to me. So what is that, a reach? Pick 50, I'm what, pick 55? And I'm reaching for a guy pick 59. Not too much of a reach in my book. So Tyreek Hill, Eric Decker, those 2 guys went before my pick. A little too high for each of those. Tyreek Hill now with Jeremy Maclin gone, I can see his value increasing from this point forward, at least through an ADP standpoint. Eric Decker, a little too low of a ceiling for me to take. Greg Olsen, I like that pick. See, me, I like to take my tight ends late, but I think Greg Olsen should provide great value. I don't think anyone would be surprised if he finished at number 1. I know Gronk and, Jordan Reed, those guys have, TE1 upside, but the injury risk with them, doubt they're going to even finish out the year, whereas Greg Olsen, he gets it done. So he'll be slow and steady, wins the race. Pierre Garcon, Stephon Diggs next. Those guys, Stephon Diggs is clearly a way better pick than Pierre Garcon, but especially Pierre Garcon, he's solid, especially in PPR, but he is going to the 49ers. If he was a late round pick, I would probably have him on a lot of my teams, but to pick him as, in most cases, your wide receiver 3, I can't do that. Diggs, on the other hand, is a wide receiver 3. I think that's very strong. Diggs was already on pace to be wide receiver 12 in PPR on a per game basis. He had some injuries, but he's definitely breakout this year. Staying healthy. Sam Bradford is, in his short passing game, is just gold for PPR. Maybe not in standard. Stephon Diggs, I definitely think he needs a huge downgrade in standard. But that short passing game, he's like Alex Smith 2.0. Danny Woodhead, Ty Montgomery. That rounds out that last tier of running backs that are pretty solid. Let me go back to the... So at this pick, I got 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs. I'm not going to tell myself I'm going to have to pick one or the other at this point. I'm just going to go for best player available with highest upside. Right now it's looking like Theo Riddick. Maybe actually kind of like Amir Abdullah. I may stay away from that completely. But we have Brandon Marshall and Mike Wallace right now. Those guys are looking pretty good. See, I wish I had my tier-based rankings up. That would clearly help me in making this decision. Amir Abdullah is some value right there. They came out and said that Amir Abdullah is going to be the workhorse back. He's definitely undersized to do it, and He's been actually healthy, but last season he wasn't, and he gets a rap for being injury prone, but he really shouldn't. Theo Riddick, he catches the balls. He's off the board though, but just to continue on that, Theo Riddick, he is solid in PPR, but with that, he was only solid because Amir Abdullah wasn't there. So a lot of question marks there. Let's see, we got Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy, huh? Not bad. Between Eddie Lacy or Brandon Marshall. So, okay, so here's where this comes in. I'm going to probably end up going Eddie Lacy. I don't like the pick, but because... I don't like the pick, actually, to be honest with you, but because there are a lot less late round running backs out there as opposed to late round RBs. I'm sorry, there's a lot more late round wide receivers out there than late round RBs. I think Eddie Lacy rounds out the bottom of startability. So, Eddie Lacy, welcome to the squad. Man, I really don't like Eddie Lacy, but when we're talking upside, he has been a RB1 for a few years. You know, I know that was a long time ago, and his weight issues are still a thing. You can't forget about that, but you know, there's opportunity there. Definitely gonna get a wide receiver with my next pick, though. I've seen a few players fall. Let's see, Brandon Marshall did get taken after Eddie Lacy. Good pick there. See, Mike Gillislee, I was hoping he would fall, but it looks like a lot of people are getting on board with him. To no fault of their own, he literally has immense touchdown upside. Andrew Luck, pick 70, great value there. Dalvin Cook, no thanks. I know Eddie Lacy doesn't have a good run blocking line, but neither does Minnesota. I think Eddie Lacy is, you know, as opposed to rookie running backs, Eddie Lacy's proven he can do it before. Not so much. Not so much for Dalvin Cook. I haven't seen him yet. Plus, he's got Latavius Murray breathing down his neck. I don't think the Seahawks really like Thomas Rawls all that much. Okay, so I got a pick from Rashard Matthews, Kelvin Benjamin, Willie Snead, or Paul Perkins. So it's between Willie Snead or Paul Perkins for me right now. Okay, so since running backs are so hard to come by, especially ones that can have, you know, 3-down potential, I don't think Paul Perkins will have that 3-down potential. He's more of a first and second down back. But just to have a workload already dedicated to you, I think that is going to work to his favor. I don't think that any of these other running backs down this list have that. So, like Robert Kelly, maybe, but he's really not that good. Paul Perkins, he's not that great either, but Rashad Evans, right? Rashad Jennings, sorry. Rashad Jennings, he only averaged like 3.6 yards per carry last year, and Paul Perkins came in and averaged like 4.2. So, he was making something out of nothing. So, he definitely shows that he has it in him. I'm hoping to see improvement, but they did draft a guy who could potentially be a goal down back, and they have Shane Vereen in the passing game, but I think his spot's pretty secure, at least in this point in time. Definitely need a wide receiver now, though. One sticking out to me. It's probably the only player I'm going to reach for, and I really hope that he doesn't get taken right now, and that's Martavis Bryant. Clearly more of a standard play, not going to lie. Definitely a standard play. But this guy just, man, if he's on fire, he is on fire. You know, he can go every other game, double-digit points with the upside of, you know, 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. I do have, you know, pretty risky wide receivers, I'd say, when it comes to Allen Robinson, Martavis Bryant, and Odell Beckham. I mean, if I'm going into a week and I'm starting those 3, then I would be a little worried because they literally could all just dud out and get me like 2 points. But Jarvis Landry's safe. I probably, for balance purposes, will get a high upside running back and then kind of like a safe floor wide receiver, someone who's got a role in that offense. Let's see how many picks I have. I may start considering a quarterback here too. Let me check out the quarterbacks and then we'll go back to wide receivers. I have some time. Okay, so we got great quarterbacks on the board. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Ben, Jameis, and Matthew Stafford. I think there's a severe drop-off from there. I mean, Marcus Mariota is a steal. But let's go back to the wide receivers. Okay, so someone I would consider, kind of a safe pick be John Brown. I don't think he's going to fall to me. So let's see, where else? Devontae Parker. That's a safe floor. Sterling Shepard, way overpriced. 111 overall. Come on, hopefully get John Brown. If not, I'm not sure who I'd pick here. Cobb. He is pretty safe floor, but no upside. Wonderful. So I did end up getting John Brown. I see Doug Martin was taking 102. Don't be afraid to take Doug Martin. Normally he is bounce around, either freaking first, second round pick or back of the draft. And it feels like every time he's back of the draft, he always becomes a stud. But you're really not, mortgaging too much on that pick. Normally we're not big fans of Doug Martin, but the value there, don't be afraid to take him. So let's see. I'll probably take a quarterback next, maybe a tight end. Let's see what the tight ends are looking like. Eric Ebron. Derek Carr's there too. So it's between Derek Carr, Eric Ebron. Let's see. Maybe someone will take one of them, and then the decision will be easy. I think I'm going Eric Ebron though. What is that? 11th round? Yeah, I think the value on Carr is probably better. Let's see what we got for RBs for high upside. Derrick Henry. He's the pick. Don't have to look twice. Welcome to the team. All right, Derrick Henry. I know I said I wanted a tight end. I wanted a quarterback. Well, when a player like that falls to you this late, go ahead and grab him. Man, I don't know. Out of all the players I have, really the only pick I'm not liking, like ADP to where I grabbed him, is Eddie Lacy, man. That just sits so wrong with me. But he was clearly, the reason I only took him was because I really didn't like any of the other picks there. And I really didn't want to reach a round or two. Maybe he has a good week, the first week, and I can just ship him off. That's the hope. But, I'm pretty set at running back now anyway. I don't think I'll need to grab another one. So let's see. Is my quarterback there anymore? Nope, he's gone. Jameis Winston. That would be a steal. If I can get Jameis Winston, I'll be happy with that. Eric Ebron's still there too. I may pass on Jameis Winston to grab Eric Ebron. And then if I pass on Jameis Winston, just hope Marcus Mariota stays on the board. So Matthew Stafford went. I really like that Matthew Stafford pick. I think he's probably rounds out that last tier. But this pick's going to be Eric Ebron if he falls to me. If not, Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's gone. He just went off the board. Okay, so the new plan of action is Eric Ebron. But we also have Phillip Rivers and Marcus Mariota. I'm landing Marcus Mariota because Phillip Rivers has a tough first 4 games. He will more than likely be on waivers or just an easy trade target after those 4 games. And then feel free to start him from there. The receivers on that team are just something else, man. They're so deep with solid receivers. Tyrod Taylor. Eric Ebron's gone. Okay, so let's see who we got for TE. I'll be fine with Jason Fedorowicz. So, Phillip Rivers or Marcus Mariota. I'm worried, with all these QBs going, I'm worried that I won't be able to get Marcus Mariota again, and then I'm going to be left with, nobody. So, it is a little bit of a reach. I know I don't have a tight end yet, but I'm going Marcus Mariota. So now I do have to start thinking of the tight ends. I'm not too worried about tight ends. There's just a ton of options this year. None of them are obviously great, but I would probably want a another running back or a wide receiver before I consider a tight end again, just because Eric Ebron's gone. He was a clear late round target for me. Zach Miller's not a bad pick. Cameron Brate, don't even think about it. CJ Fedorowicz, not a bad pick. Jason Witten, yeah, I think he's the pick. But let's see. What do we got for RBs? So Jamal Charles, Kareem Hunt, he stands out to me. I don't really need another RB. I'm going to go Jason Witten. 179, he should be there. Kevin White, Bashad Perriman, Marquise Lee, Terrelle Pryor. The heck is he doing here? Snag. Terrelle Pryor. Okay, so I got him on my team. I'm not very proud of this pick. Why? Because I basically stole him. I don't know what's up with his ranking right now, but I think he was 175. To get him this late, I shouldn't have even drafted him at all. It's a bad example because it makes you think you can get him that late. You won't be able to. He's going to be probably 4th round, top of the 4th. I don't see him really going any later than that. Kareem Hunt's gone. That's sad, but for Terrelle Pryor, it's worth it. All right, let's see. Tight end. All right, Jason Witten, welcome to the squad. So I have one bench spot, a defense, and kicker last. So a big question lately for defenses is, you know, in the Facebook group, shout out to that. If you haven't joined it, do so. We're halfway full. But a big question came out that was a good question. Which late round defenses do you target? I'm seeing a ton already off the board. Cardinals, Texans, Patriots, Panthers just went. But let's see. I'll tell you a great one. So you have Falcons defense. They're always solid, especially towards the end of last year. I shouldn't say always solid, but they're definitely up and comers. But Eagles defense, they are just super undervalued every year. Go back and check it out. They always finish in the top 10, like always. And they have top 5 upside. I think they're literally rounded out the top 5 spot like almost all the year until, you know, Carson Wentz just, you know, threw one too many picks and they let up a few too many points. So then they kind of dropped, but they still were like finished. I think they were the 6th defense last year. Look, 127 points. And then they project them at 91 points this time. I don't get it. I mean, you know, this team's defensive minded if they draft a defensive player with their first pick. So Eagles defense, there you go. Let's see. Marquise Lee, really love that pick. Let's see, any good late round running backs? Terrence West, he's good. Terrence West is good. You know, he's through the first 4 games. He is going to be the first and second down back. He can really kind of prove himself at that point. But you got Kenneth Dixon and Danny Woodhead there. Danny Woodhead is passing specialist, of course. So isn't Dixon, really. But I don't know how much they like Dixon anymore because of all of his issues. You really can't put too much weight on that, though. I think the pick is Marquise Lee. Marquise Lee, kicker last. Okay, so some late round kickers. Let's see what we got here. So late round kickers, what I'm looking at. Blair Walsh for Seattle's not bad. Seattle's kickers always do well. Sebastian Janikowski, that's a good one. You always want a kicker who has a good offense. Now, you don't want the offense too good, like Will Lutz for New Orleans or Chris Boswell. Those are clearly in some of the best offenses in the league. But what happens with that? So you have teams that are just scoring too many touchdowns. They score too many touchdowns, and then you just only get 1 point as opposed to, you know, like what, the 4 or 5 you'll get depending on yardage. So it's between Marquise Lee. Oops, what did I do here? Marquise Lee or any RBs I like. Okay. Looks like it's Marquise Lee. Jamal Williams, not a bad pick. Sleeper pick. But it looks like he's going undrafted. If I didn't have to take a defense and kicker, I wouldn't. And I would grab, Jamal Williams. I would just load up. But I do have to take a kicker. And that kicker is going to be Janikowski. Come on down. Okay, so darn, I should have taken Marquise Lee. Wasn't thinking there. Sorry, I've been hiking all day, and then we went swimming. My brain is just full of water right now. But that's okay. So let's see. If Marquise Lee gets taken, what's backup plan? What's plan B? Tyler Lockett, really not a bad pick. Kind of a gadget guy there. What else we got? Cole Beasley, safe floor guy. His production really dropped off once Des Bryant came back, and like the connection between Bryant and Dak Prescott kind of built itself. Oh, OJ Howard got taken. Marquise Lee, no. Oh well. Yeah, that was my mistake. OJ Howard got taken. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I'll go Jamal Williams. Let's go. Is he still on the board? Yeah. Welcome to the team. So right now that running back situation is the running back situation in Green Bay is just not good. They're saying Ty Montgomery is going to be the starter. Who knows about that? That guy, he's a receiver. He looks like a receiver when he's in the backfield. Jamal Williams, he's a rookie, but I really think the upside's there for him to be a starter. He's not the highest rookie upside that we would say, but go for it. See, if you're going based on like, drafting handcuffs, right? You have Frank Gore here. I'm seeing Marlon Mack. He's the only logical replacement for Frank Gore if he gets injured, but I'm not going to do that. I'd rather get Jamal Williams and hope Frank Gore stays healthy and Jamal Williams becomes the RB1 for Green Bay. Then I have two baller running backs. Trade one, doesn't matter. More value for me. If Frank Gore does go down, I have to use Marlon Mack. Hey, that's just how it goes. I wouldn't want a handcuff for that purpose. I'm not wasting 2 spots for that. So let's run through, see what we got. Marcus Mariota at quarterback. We have running backs DeMarco Murray, Frank Gore, Eddie Lacy, Paul Perkins, Derrick Henry, Jamal Williams. Liking the running backs, not loving it. Not loving it because Eddie Lacy. If I was able to get a player like Joe Mixon who has higher upside, I definitely would rather do that. See, I feel like the running backs group that I went with was pretty safe, but it's not game breaking. Quarterback Marcus Mariota, completely fine with that. He did have that leg injury, but hopefully that won't follow him into the year. I think there's immense value for Marcus Mariota in these drafts. Target him late. Wide receivers, Odell, Jarvis, Landry, Allen Robinson, Martavis Bryant, John Brown, Terrelle Pryor. Besides Terrelle Pryor going so late, that's just a solid lineup. I wouldn't be worried about... Martavis Bryant is definitely boom bust. Allen Robinson, he could just be a dud again this year. I really don't think that will happen. I think he will be somewhere in the middle between what he did in the 2015 season and what he did in 2016. I think that'll kind of even out, especially since the Jags offense kind of had a down year on its own. They're still going to, I know everyone's saying their defense got better, but they're still going to have, some garbage time production. I don't care what you say. Every year they say their defense gets better. Every year they just play from behind. So that helps Allen Robinson. John Brown, I think, is a solid pick. He was battling injuries last year, and he had that sickle cell stuff going on. I think they got that under control. Then we have tight end Jason Witten. Not going to win me any games, but the way Dak Prescott plays in that short passing game, he should be locked for 3 receptions, maybe 40 yards, maybe with some upside too. We'll see. He finished tight end 11 last year, so definitely on the back of the tight end range. But I would have no problem dropping Jason Witten for anyone on waivers any given week, so not too worried about that. Jason Witten. Now we have defense, special teams. We have Eagles defense and Janikowski. I am super happy with that, and that's why we always say get defense and kicker last. I know I messed up. I should have got Marquise Lee over Jamal Williams, but for getting defense and kicker last, getting the Eagles defense, who's been top 10 for like the past 4 years, and then getting Janikowski, that just shows you like how much depth there is and how just clueless people are when drafting these defenses and these kickers. But that's going to do it. If I were to rate this completely honestly, I'd probably give this draft about a 7 out of 10. Eddie Lacy really just, it doesn't sit well with me. I'm not liking the pick, but there is upside with that. I'm not going to lie. Then we have Terrelle Pryor going so late. I probably shouldn't have picked him because I don't want that to be an example of like someone you can get that late, you really shouldn't. He's going to be like a 4th round pick, you know, by the time the season rolls around. Other than that, guys, that's going to do it. It's been Mock Draft Monday. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. And other than that, toss this video a big thumbs up, and we will catch you on the next one.